Well, I think you bring up like a super good point, because you said and pointed out they started in the lower bracket today, right? This game that they just got through was their second game. They're headed into their third. Little Giants, they just finished their first. So the morale can definitely be high. Like, anyone who has played a game of League of Legends has probably had a comeback victory, right? You know, they're beating on your base, they're opening up your nexus, but you come back into it, you scale, you find the opportunities, and you win, and you feel awesome after winning that. But in a lot of those times, you're just playing solo queue. For Mad Fidgets, you're in a tournament format, and you have to carry that momentum forward. And a lot of it is, while you might be hyped up, like a massive point of importance is to take a breather. You know, remember that while you won that game, you didn't win it hard. You had to come back into it. You have to, you know, steal your mental again, because it's a sprint. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. That's what I was trying to say. So, you know, just temper your expectations. You know, take a breath.
Absolutely. And what is very important right now is they're already heading into drafts. You can see them right now popping up on your screens. And an important thing before we actually go and debunk what is being picked, because already interesting thing coming in, what I really love to see. Varus being banned now from Little Giants to Mad Fidgets, respecting the Varus from the previous game. But now we've got Nocturne, Volibear, Corki, and the next pick is about to come through. So I think the jungle matchup is really spicy to look at.
Yeah, I mean, so obviously, as you pointed out, Fidgets no longer have that Varus available to them, something that they've leaned pretty heavily on, as far as you and I have had the opportunity to see. Yesterday, they won with it against the Blue Wall. They just won with it against Mad Roar, but that tool is no longer available. The chains to lock down in a corridor, in a team fight, not going to be there. But something that Mad has drafted is the Nocturne. And I'm really, really hyped to see how they're going to use that paranoia, because what a lot of people do in solo queue is, oh, Nocturne's just going to paranoia. He's going to gank a lane, and that's all paranoia is good for.
Yeah.
But the more coordinated you get, the more interesting ways you see paranoia, because it just shuts off the lights. It denies vision.
It's a strategic tool, right?
Absolutely.
You can use it. You can actually not double press it. You can just use it and leave it be. I think that was showcased absolutely beautifully at the time while Blipper was playing jungle in Fnatic, and we saw that a lot, especially in the playoff stage, when you just shut the lights off, but you actually don't really do anything with it because you're already, you know, planted the seed of chaos into the enemy team.
Yeah, because it makes the enemy team desperate. You turn off the lights, they get scared. They're like, oh, maybe the bear and the dragon that's going to get burnt down. We need to force the fight. We need to run in. And that's when you can pull the trigger. It forces the enemy team to be desperate, to be scared. So that's a really, really interesting pick. And I'm really interested to see how it plays, especially because this is a best of one. Right?
Yeah.
You want to have that spicy pick, that thing that no one is probably planning around. And I think it's an ideal time to bring this up right here in the semifinal, because it gives your opponents and your potential opponents the least possible time to plan around it and think about how you address it. That being said, on the side of Little Giants, it's a little bit more standard, right? The Volibear, the Corki. We saw how both of those champions can interact against one another in the previous game. Whoa. Thank you.
Thank you.
15 donation.
Mad Ross saying, GG Mad Fidgets, I do what I said now. So this is, I think, the promise that was made in the chat, if I recall correctly. But nonetheless, thank you very much, Mad Raw France, for donating 15 euros. Your money will go to the very good cause and maybe will save a life. But yes, coming to your point, I absolutely agree. And I'm also quite interested to see how Little Giants is going to spin this round, because we always love to see unorthodox picks, right? We always like it. We always love to see it. It always brings us a little bit of surprise elements of a cake, you know, that someone is bringing. And it is not a lie. Finally, the cake is not a lie. But I think that also having. Oh my God!
There it is. I was thinking, like, wow, like this is taking a pretty long time to get into the second phase here. But,
Okay, so real quick, wrapping this up, we have Nocturne, Nammi, Lissandra, Jhin, and Shen against Volibear, Corki, Ezreal, Karma, and Malphite. Speaking about unorthodox picks and compositions. Look at Little Giants over there. Past my colleague right here because I'm pointing right exactly at you, but I'm more pointing to this direction. Like, look at this job. It's so unorthodox, is it?
Yeah, I mean, like, how often do you see Malphite get picked nowadays, for one?
No.
Almost never, because you typically just pick a Malphite. It's the most situational of counter picks, right? Because, like, oh, the enemy team's running heavy AD, I can just pick Malphite here and we'll smash the fight away. And I can kind of understand why they wanted to take Malphite here, because it's instantaneous backline access. It can dive alongside the Volibear, but also take a look at what Fidgets have drafted. The Nocturne, the Jhin, to a lesser degree Shen, gonna have a bit of difficulty getting through Malphite in those later phases of the game. Shen, Malphite, they're not going to interact a whole ton in the lane, because granted, Shen might look for a Shadow Dash, might look for a taunt, but once that taunt wears off, Malphite's just going to Seismic Shard. He can walk away. He doesn't have to care. He doesn't have to interact. It's going to be more about the fights. But
I actually also think that it's, interestingly enough, I don't feel like the pickup of Malphite was absolutely necessary in a certain way, because to be fair, Shen is also a very heavy AP stacker, right?
Yes.
He really goes into thinking about, yes, you've got the autos from your queue, from the powered up queue, but they're not only autos, there are also a magic damage, right? And looking into Jhin, looking into Nocturne, yes, it feels very it feels important to have somewhat of an AD tank ready to go against Matt Fidgets, but in the same time, I'm looking at it and thinking, Matt Fidgets do have a very balanced draft. They know what their weakness and strength is, and going into this matchup, they have a very strong and very, I would say, impactful top size.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially because Shen can combo with Mad Fidgets in a variety of ways, right? A lot of people think about the submarine, right? You stand united on a Nocturne who's paranoia, and you instantaneously just get like a hard dive, and you kind of give Corki the treatment that, you know, Mad Fidgets' own mid laner was experiencing in that previous game, right? You can just dogpile on him and tell him, like, this is what we were feeling. Congratulations. But the other side of it is that we can see that they have Volibear, they have Malphite, even Corki. With Little Giants, those are tools that you can use to dive onto a target. And when you factor in that Shen Ultimate can also be used defensively, and think about who on Mad Fidgets really needs that defensive tool, it's probably the Jhin. And a massive Shen shield can really dissuade and, like, drag out a team fight and remove what Little Giants want to get done if that damage doesn't get layered on as fast as possible.
And I also think there's quite a lot of sustain just in general on the side of Matt Fidgets, because you've got Nocturne, who's going to heal himself up really nicely thanks to the passive, right? So he's going to spin around with his little blades, and he's gonna heal himself up really good going into any team fight, really. Then you've got Nammi, who's going to heal you really nicely, who's going to parry you up as well, which is also a very important thing to remember. And then you've got Lissandra, who just can go frozen like Captain America and sit there for 70 years and feel pretty much safe. And then you're also exactly right. You just wake up and go, I missed my dance, by the way. And then you also have the Stand United. So it feels like for Little Giants, yes, they do have the poke. There's a lot, something that we haven't really touched upon yet, but we're going to just in about a few seconds, right? Yes. But they do have this poke, but I also feel like Matt Fidgets are really good at staying alive despite all the poke coming your way. I would like to welcome you to the Summoner's Rift as we're about to see the semi-finals of Master Fans. Matt Fidgets against Little Giants. Here we go.
Yeah, both teams head out onto the Rift here. Looks like a fairly standard start overall. You can see, though, Solemn throws the ward down in that lane bush to make sure, like, okay, gonna go over to my normal spot now, but that will spot out if the Ezreal Karma want to brush cheese a little, want to poke Jhin Nammi out, because Jhin Nammi at the level 1, not exactly very scary, especially in relation to something like an Ezreal Karma. So good move by Solemn on that front. Otherwise, things seem pretty standard. You can see, though, once again, Predator on the Volibear gives you nice burst of movement speed. to chase down those targets, potentially look to secure an early advantage, like we were talking about.
And I feel like right now we can actually think about how specifically Matt Fidgets do want to spin around their top side, right? Because
Yes.
We have mentioned that in draft, and we have been mentioning that alongside our fantastic analyst desk that we had today, yesterday, and Friday as well. Matt Fidgets is one of those teams who really know how to excel on their strength, which is their top side, right? It's very proactive. It's very good at taking control. And I feel like these three champions that we have is actually these kind of champions you want to have if you want to take all control over the top side.
Yeah, I mean, like the really great part about that top side of the map is that every single one of those champions can facilitate one another, right? Nocturne can help Shen, Shen can help Nocturne, and they can both help Lissandra. If Lissandra ever wants to go in, she can, and you notice that, oh, hey, Shen ult is available, Nocturne ult is available. We can just dogpile, force a skirmish, force a dive somewhere, and it's super easy to execute on. Because, you know, these are not, let's say, like high skill ceiling champions. They are very, very accessible, and what they do and what they're capable of pulling off is very straightforward. So I'm really excited that, you know, Matt Fidgets continue to play around that strength that we've seen. But oh, that's a bubble in the bot lane.
Yeah, that is a bubble, but probably not going to go way too far here. This is only the exchange, because now actually, as we had our attention turned towards, it seems like the mid laner decided to get out of the game for a little second here, but now we're back, so it's all good. I feel like, yes, we're talking about the top side now, but we have been showcased with that bot lane. So thinking about it, bot lane is also an extremely interesting place to look at, because we have mentioned the poke coming from both Ezreal and Karma, which is going to be a nightmare for Matt Fidgets at some point of the game. But at level 3, do you think that Jhin and Nammi actually do have a chance at standing, I would even say, on the same level as Ezreal and Karma, or not really?
Well, I think in, like, if this was just a pure, like, both bot lanes are 100% health, nothing has happened in setting, like, leading into that, then I would say, yeah, the Ezreal and Karma should be favored because they have such a heavy degree of poke. But what we saw there earlier was that Raaiinbow landed that Aqua Prison, that bubble, and the Ezreal chomped on every single potion right afterwards. So, like, yes, you didn't use any summoner spells, but now you in this poke lane are actually the person who is out of all your potions, which means if you eat a little bit more damage, it is just so difficult to stand in as that Ezreal, because you just get poked out, and you don't want to be there, even with Karma shielding you, because Karma shielding very early on isn't that great, but this is 1v1 top.
Yeah, that Ashe actually might be a solo bowler here for Lancer. He might use the flash as soon as his turn comes up off the cooldown, but it seems like he's about to drop that opportunity. I really love the points you're making for the bot side, and looking at how it progresses. Ooh, look at that. Volibear decides to go for the party. Wonder if they're actually gonna dive him. Not really. Ooh, misfits. Oh, yes. Love to see that. Love to see that little banter between the teams.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is that Lancer knows. He knows that the Volibear is up there to shove the wave in, give his top laner the opportunity to back, because if you just leave the Malphite alone there and the lane is shoving into the Shen, then Shen is going to try to taunt up the Malphite, get that solo kill, like you mentioned. So while they're not going for a dive, it definitely gives Malphite a little bit of breathing room. And, you know, Lancer kind of calling him out on that there.
So, with that being said, now we're heading into this moment when, yeah, it seems like a stalemate now between the teams, with occasional tradings around the maps, and we saw the trading on the top side, we saw the trading on the bot side, but essentially right now it seems like both teams are really interested to play it slow. And I have a feeling that it plays a little bit more to the hand of Matt Fidgets, because the slower the game goes, the better it is for them, because they're able to stack themselves up to get themselves to this comfortable moment when they will be able to just execute and dictate the pace of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And talking about that pacing, you can see that Lancer is slightly ahead of the Malphite there in the top lane. The Shen does have that Stand United available. So now he can just back, he can look to coordinate with his ultimate with the Lissandra potentially, although you can see the Corki backing now, so it could be a roaming angle. Nocturne doesn't have the paranoia available, but it just once again highlights the things that Mad Fidgets are capable of pulling off with this Shen, with this Lissandra. And like you said, it kind of plays into their hand because they have the opportunity to plan things around to take what they want for now. So even though they're at that very, very, very slight gold deficit, it feels like having things being more controlled is exactly what they want.
And that actually rewards them right now with the first dragon of the game, which is the Hextech Dragon. The next one is going to be Mountain. I feel like we're probably going to see a little bit of a fight for that one, because Mountain Drake is something that both teams really want at this point. This is definitely extremely beneficial to Mad Fidgets, because, again, the poke, we have been talking about it. But I feel like when it comes to Little Giants, they're also not going to be way too against it, because especially in the later stages, the amount of burst damage that's going to come from both Nocturne and Jhin, and there is also Lissandra, who you should never really take off their counts. I feel like it's also quite an important one to grab.
Yeah, like every little shred of extra resistances counts, especially because it's kind of a bit of a weird point, but I think it's about 150 resistances on both ends. That is like your resistances are actually a bit more efficient than health, depending on the type of damage that you're taking, which means that having that extra little bit, as you pointed out, for that mountain does feel really, really good, especially on your squishies. It gives them that potential more effective health to survive. But like moving on from that, I also feel like Little Giants, they should be getting angsty to like start something off, because the Volibear is already level 6 now, right? You do have the tools available to look to force something, especially with that Malphite. So hopefully soon the game is just going to like break out in terms of that pressure. But I also think the thing that's on both teams' minds is, hey, this is the semifinals. Like, we can actually win this all. We don't want to make a mistake at this point. And,
let's play it slow
everything.
and let's play it safe. Absolutely.
Yeah, no one ever wants to be the first team to make a mistake in a high stakes game.
Yeah, absolutely.
It really plays against that morale.
And also, like you mentioned, there is Stormbringer now. There is Volibear, who's able to shut down a turret and begin those very big plays, potentially very big plays for the teams. As we have a little bit of a banter here again at the top lane. I don't really think that we're going to see a continuation of it, but it is a bloody exchange, that's for sure. But I'm looking at where potentially can, what potentially can be the target rather for this Volibear, and I feel like it is actually the same target for both of the junglers, as I might be actually proven wrong here. But I feel like the mid lane is a very good target for both of these junglers, since we see it quite often that Corki shoving in the lane, Gayetano has a very good control over the lane, so you can try and shut down the turret and commit to that tower dive, even against Lissandra. While in the same moment, you have that Corki who is really close. He is with an escape as well as Lissandra, but there is a paranoia. So potentially you can try to pin him down and even kill him and get the first blood.
Yeah, absolutely. You can layer that CC super hard, have that synergy between the Lissandra and between the Nocturne to take Corki out. And it also feels like Fidgets might want to get that done as soon as possible, because as you can see, Gayetano building up quite the CS lead in that mid lane, already at roughly 25 for the Corki, which feels nice to have that slight advantage. Obviously, you can push a little bit more consistently than the Lissandra. But the other thing also, top lane as well. Hasland is building up a 30 CS lead on this Malphite. And, while sure, Lancer has been having strong trades, if you're only having strong trades and you're not farming, then you're really just setting yourself behind. So that is something that has to be fresh in Mad Fidgets' mind.
I really can feel the air slowly starting to electrify between those 10 players, because you can feel how nobody wants to make a mistake. Everybody tries to go for the most efficient trade that they can possibly have. Try to control over their objects as much as you can. But we have to witness a fight sooner or later, and I think, yes, it is going! Paranoia being used, an immediate knock up by the unstoppable force, but here comes the rest of the reinforcements coming from Mad Fidgets, and it is a first blood going over to Solemn.
Yeah, it was not the mid lane walking up. Mad Fidgets, they're a bot lane. Both the Nammi and the Jhin head up top. They get that gold into Solemn's pocket. Nice little advantage to have. Lancer TP's down bot in order to, you know, catch the, at the very least, the experience. But very well done on the part of Mad Fidgets. They, well, it's almost every single member participated in that kill, with the exception of Lissandra.
Yeah, 4 out of 5. There is a price to pay, though, since the dragon is now going to be taken down by the Little Giants, although exchanged for a herald. So it seems like one way or the other, pretty much of a good exchange. And it seems to me that Vetheø, or next Vetheø, is going to dump the herald, yes, at the top side, trying to funnel a lot of gold into Solemn.
Yeah, I mean, it will certainly put a ton of gold into all of their pockets, especially considering that the bot lane of Little Giants wasn't able to get a similar push off. Yes, they got that dragon that you called out was so vital earlier. Those resistances are going to feel really, really good. But I think the other thing that's really important to consider here is that for Little Giants, GAYETANO grabbed package. Whoa!
Wow, Crimson Cyclist, thank you very much. Those production issues do not matter. Thank you for committing to the good cause. Actually, following up on your points, not only the previous dragon was very vital, but I think that right now we might see a battle for the soul, because Ocean Soul is absolutely vital for Mad Fidgets in this matchup.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the other thing is, when you think about it, if one of these teams can grab Ocean Soul, it forces the enemy team to be like, okay, we really need to itemize to get heal cut. We really need those grievous wounds.
Oh yeah.
There's not even an ignite on either team here. Like that tool of grievous wounds is going to be at a premium as these Ocean Drakes stack up for both teams. But
oh, look at that. There's a lot of burst damage actually coming from GAYETANO. He's going to escape on a Valkyrie, but the curtain call might not catch him. One shot was not enough to get him. A very nervous exchange here in the mid lane.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like they were going to back off from one another there, but then, you know, the Lissandra just goes straight in with that claw, gets the ult off. It also looked like Solemn was a little bit surprised that they went for it, but whoa!
Another
surprise! Man.
Very, very bold coming here on the Paranoia to secure the kill. Nocturne takes the first into his pocket. Might actually pay with his life for it, as the Predator has been used with the flash forward on top with the Stormbringer too. But here comes the Shen, here comes the title call as well, and Solemn is here to pick up what is rightfully his, taking the second heal into his hands with the root onto Ezreal. You will not go anywhere. The fourth shot deals so much damage, and the heal is going to be propped as well. No more exchanges, but 3-0 it is for Mad Fidgets as they chase down poor Malphite. Here is going to be slowed, taunted, rooted, and killed. First kill going over to ekkövid.
Yeah, absolutely massive for Mad Fidgets to get that fight off. Yes, off that dive, it looked pretty scary for next Vetheø, but the Shen ult came in, it was interrupted, and Solemn is able to clean the house out, just getting shot after shot, getting those kills into his pocket. Now 2-0 on this Jhin. And now, you know, that gold deficit that Mad Fidgets were at just a couple of minutes ago has been completely alleviated. And whoa, GAYETANO, I don't think you want to be here.
No, I don't think so. It takes a lot of good poke onto Solemn, but didn't manage to get the kill. Neither of those, I'd say, ranged shooters. I don't think you call them like that, but why not?
Range carries. There we go.
Yeah, range carries.
I think the proper term by Riot is marksman, but no one ever uses it.
We should.
One thing I think is really worth pointing out here, GAYETANO going for Immortal Shield Bow on this Corki, not going for the, you know, penetration heavy build, instead recognizing like, oh, there's a Lissandra on the enemy team, there's a Nocturne. I need survivability. Corki scales up decently well, no matter what the build is going to be. It's a little less efficient in terms of damage, but what's the point of building damage if you just get blown up? So
yeah,
interesting choice by GAYETANO, but I can definitely understand, considering especially how the game is going thus far.
An important thing also to mention is that the turret place has fallen down. You also have the Unleashed Teleporters. The Paranoia has been used, yes, on GAYETANO. A lot of good damage, and that's the third kill for Jhin. All too easy. The double kill comes in too, and it's just a wreck for Little Giants.
Yeah, I mean, the was it Immortal Shield Bow? The shield had already been popped a little bit ago. Paranoia already available, and now next dragon is coming up in just about 40 seconds. Granted, Gayetano will be up, and so will the Karma. They should be able to fight this out, but that does mean that Fidgets, they have the run of it. They can have all the control of that dragon pit of the river that they want. They haven't noticed that there's a control ward behind them, which could be a potential TP angle for the Malphite.
We'll see how it plays out, because I have to also remind you there's no special package. I have a feeling, and we will have to see how they're going to try to get it in their way. Seems like both teams are about to go for the standoff for the dragon, and is about to spawn. Hasland might be caught in here, might be even feared too, but manages to walk away from it. Lancer gets over the wall. Seems like both.
Oh no!
Oh no! Gets spotted out almost immediately. Flashes over the wall, tries to get away. And it seems like right now Little Giants are in control. Curtain Call has been summoned. Let's see if it's going to do anything. ekkövid tries to root 1, 2. Fourth shot comes into, and next Vetheø takes the kill. The root comes into. Hasland has to run for his life. Flashes away to get away, luckily for him. But it's 7-0 for Fidgets. It's the second dragon for them too. And it seems like the winners from the lower bracket is exactly what we're going to witness for the entirety of the spring season.
Brill, it's all about getting those games in, getting the practice, and Mad Fidgets, they've certainly done that so far today. But to build on something that we talked about at the very beginning of this game, the top side of the map, well, granted the gold has really been funneled into Solemn, so much of the top side has been positive for Mad Fidgets, and then you take a look at the other side of the rift. 0-2 on both solo laners and the jungle for Little Giants. They've been really just shut out of this game thus far, and if there was ever anything to really exemplify that, right? Malphite flashing away defensively because they could not set up. They could not even look for an opportunity to fight.
GaBrii! He takes it away just on the spot with the Gale Force.
That is a Gale Force rapid fire Jhin. It is so hard to get away from a fourth shot situation, and yeah, there is nothing that I think Ezreal can do in that spot to stay alive. That is devastating.
And I also think that it is worth mentioning that Jhin is Solemn's most played AD carry with over 400,000 points. And I feel like this is exactly the moment when you shine with all of this mastery at your champion, because look at how exquisitely beautiful he handles it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that just speaks to your experience, your mastery, as you just put it. You know what damage you're capable of against what targets, and Ezreal's a squishy boy. Jhin will just completely blow that Ezreal out of the water. That was GaBrii's first death, by the way. It's not as though Ezreal's been getting smashed. It's just that Jhin is that strong.
It's 502, it's Gale Force and a cannon, and I feel like it's rapid fire cannon.
Over
and
a
I feel like
gold lead. Oh my goodness.
He is the wealthiest person on the Summoner's Rift at this point, and I feel like it is very, very hard right now for both, not for both teams, but basically for anyone at this point to bring down that Jhin.
Yeah, especially because it's so hard for Little Giants to execute on that game plan that they had, right? With the Malphite and the Volibear being able to just go in straight onto the Jhin, blow him up, because they're just starting to fall behind. Like, it is bad to put it, like, to say the very least, for Little Giants. They have no kills on the board. They got a plate here and there in the laning phase, but overall, there's just not a whole ton of positives for you to be playing around. Instead, they're actually doing what Fidgets had to do in the previous game, which is stall out, hope for opportunities, hope to kite things in order to stay alive, in order to scale into the game.
I was just about to ask you that, but it looks like another Paranoia is going to be used, as fleeing is now their route is 2, and it seems like Hasland is not going to be able to make it out. No, actually, he gets away on the Unstoppable Force. He is alive, and it seems like he really took your words to his heart, as he is stalling, as he is making Matt Fidgets to waste the resources to try to bring him down, as there might be another fight here in the mid. Yeah, Gale Force is going to be used too, but not bringing down the Carmen. Seems like this time around Little Giants trying to pull the trigger, though this Volibear is going to be immediately stopped with the tidal wave for the first kill coming through, though, for Little Giants. They're looking for 2. They might even get it. Vetheø now joining the fight, and he's not going to get away without 1 kill of his own. GaBrii is going to be brought down by Vetheø, and it is at least the first 2 kills now coming for Little Giants.
Yeah, I mean, overall, that's a 2 for 2 in that situation. And if you were a losing team and you get a 2 for 2 in a fight, that's a win, because you're fighting from a position where you're behind. And you can see here that Solemn feels really, really good about how his damage can go through. Gale forces aggressively, tries to get a force shot down, but you can see the Volibear, the Corki, they come in, they collapse, they force. And because the Shen ult has to be used to keep Solemn safe, that means the Lissandra dies. Shen, also low health, ends up going down and ends up ultimately being a trade 2 for 2. So pretty well done for Giants in that sort of situation. They found a little bit of an opportunity to play around.
And I feel like this is actually the way how they can try to spin those fights around, as we have 15 seconds before the Ocean Drake is about to spawn. Special package is here, so that means that Little Giants have a little bit more pressure leverage, I would say, coming into the upcoming team fight. But I feel like this is exactly the way how they really need to conduct their team fighting right now, is to take the resources away. Yeah, the taunt is there onto Hasland, manages to walk it away though, as you really have to take those resources, coming to my previous point, in order to feel comfortable in those fights.
Yeah, whoa. Very defensive use of package.
Yeah, ooh, the paranoia now being going to. Lancer gets there as the lights are out. The dragon goes to Little Giants, but for what cost? The kills have been traded, though. It's 2 for 1. Next, Vetheø has been brought down, so that means at least something. In the meantime, Lancer throws himself into the fight onto Corki. A lot of good damage, but Lancer might have to pay with this. But no, Bubble is there. And now Hyli is the only person left alive. Stands on the spot because he knows that his fate is sealed as Ace comes in through the Matt Fidgets, possibly the winners from the lower brackets.
Yeah, and as this fight goes out, right, that's the use of paranoia. You're able to just get into the fight as long as you have vision. They go into the pit, they're unable to secure the dragon, and they lose Vetheø on that fight. And you can see here, GAYETANO and GaBrii, they actually kite this out pretty well. They get a lot of damage down, and while it doesn't look too bad, that double bubble from Raaiinbow was beautiful.
I love the way you're putting it, double bubble.
Yeah, I mean, like, it was a massive bubble because it allows Solemn to just go in, finish off those kills. And while it's definitely not an ideal situation for Fidgets to find themselves in, you know, giving up kills, giving up a dragon, they're still very much in the driver's seat. Almost a 7k gold lead here at 24 minutes. And
look at the goal difference between the champions as well. The only person who's ahead, actually, on the team of Little Giants is Corki. We have been sleeping a little bit on him as he was farming himself up, but now he's almost 100 CS ahead. He has the most amount of CS on any team. And he has 9,000, which is 2,000 gold lead over his adversary on the mid. So I feel like, actually, for Little Giants, might be stalling not the best idea, since we know that the Misfits fan organization is going to scale well. But maybe this is actually the way how you get back into the driver's seat. As the paranoia is going to be used onto Ezreal. He's going to flash it away, and here comes Lancer too. Yeah, the submarine, exactly that. The thing you've been talking about, the double knockup is coming there too. Okay, Nocturne is no more, but you have to deal with that Jhin as well. The shield is coming through to GAYETANO, but it might be enough. Absolutely no. As here comes the potential ace. One person has been lost for Matt Fidgets, but it matters not, as the unstoppable force is going to be used to get out of this pickle. And it seems like Matt Fidgets have their eyes to set up on the Baron.
Yeah, and it just seems to go from bad to worse for Little Giants at this point, because something that Fidgets are capable of doing right now is, with the lead that they have, they can just hard force a fight. The Nocturne can go in, you have the Shen shield on top of him, and even though Jhin was like right in front of almost the entirety of Little Giants, they could not break through that Shen. But Tree Shot Barrage?
True shot barrage tried to steal the Baron, but it was a little bit way too early as Hasland is actually trying his best to give some vision to his team. The teleport is going to be used. Yes. Oh, in the meantime, Hasland takes a lot of damage, tries to get away. Manages even, that's a shutdown. Very well done. Paranoia used. Double kill onto Jhin. And it seems like we have slept on the Little Giants. They have denied the Baron. They've taken 2 shutdowns. And now that Fidgets, they're on the retreat.
Yeah, Fidgets, they took a, let's say, an ambitious choice to start up the Baron. Vetheø wasn't there because he died in the previous fight, and Fidgets thought, okay, well, we have the numbers advantage, we can just force. But Hasland, even though he doesn't have unstoppable force, he's there to give his team vision. He's there to say, hey, guys, they're here, get the Corki TP in, and we can force. They can't smite, they can't finish, so if we force a fight, they'll turn off. And because they had that opportunity, they finally found something. They got that shut down. Unfortunately, Gayetano still dies, but that's massive to stop up the Baron if you are Little Giants.
And if you think about it, we've talked about it just a little bit before. Gayetano is the carry of the team based on the amount of gold that he has. So more shutdown he receives, and I think it was at the very least 1.4, 1.5k that he received after that double kill, because one of the shutdowns was a 1,000 on Jhin. So with that much gold in his pocket, with Solemn, that wasn't steal for a second. I thought it was a steal of the rep, but taking that so much, yeah, it is a setup. You see, that's a leash. Thank you for the leash. But with that much gold in his pocket right now, I feel like it's very important to realize that, you know, we are going into the moment of, okay, maybe Little Giants are back into this game.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. You can see now that this is a 3-item Corki. Yes, it's not the heavy poke build that Corki has really been going for in the past couple of months, but the damage is still there, right? As long as you can get that damage down onto Solemn, you can blow the Jhin out of the water, then it gives you the opportunity to fight, because Jhin is representative of so much of Mad Fidgets' gold. They've given him so many resources that if Jhin is gone, then the fight seems much more doable, especially when you compare those 2 mid laners between Corki and Lissandra. But that's a package
being used. Yep, a lot of damage actually coming onto Solemn. He's being heavily controlled, but it's not going to be enough as Alvarisuis is going to be brought down. The curtain call has been summoned too. Gayetano is going to actually escape as Hasland turns and tanks as much as he can. He's going to be rooted here for a second, but it seems like he's going to be able to walk it off. A lot of damage coming through. Nobody taken down on the side of Misfits, but one person is now missing on the side of Little Giants, and it seems like the 3rd dragon is going over to them. Lancer still here. That's a taunt coming through onto Hasland. A lot of damage. He's still alive. Manages even to get the knockup, but I feel like it's not going to be enough. So much low targets on the side of Matt Fidgets, but there's almost no one to try to bring it up. GaBrii is standing there together with Hyli, but they're not going to be able to do anything as Matt Fidgets take the soul point and have their eyes yet again set upon the Baron.
Yeah, it's such a delicate situation that Little Giants find themselves in going into that fight. Oh, Hyli barely makes it out on that timer. But yeah, as the Volibear had gone down, both junglers had actually engaged into that fight, right? Vetheø for Fidgets, the Volibear for Little Giants, and you know, one of them died, one of them didn't, and that allowed Mad Fidgets the opportunity to go up. Oh, can he go in?
Yes, Alvarisuis is going to be used. I think that we might actually see the reset of the Baron near sighted. They are, and now the fight starts. Flash forward from Ezreal. He takes down the Lissandra. That's at least something. In the meantime, Alvarisuis is going to be the next target. Volibear is going to be brought down one way or the other. Flash over the wall from Hyli. He's still alive. Look at the HP of this person. He is absolutely, yes, CP coming through. Gayetano looking for more. Tries to go into Vetheø. A lot of damage coming onto Solomon. I don't really think you want to fight 1 against 3. The route comes in 2. Curtain call is available, but it's not going to use, or is it going to be proved wrong? But Hasland stands as this tank. The 4th shot is only going to tickle me, as it looks like Little Giants are still hanging on in the semi-finals of Master Funds. They don't want to give that fight easily, as they take the 1st turret and they're going to take the 2nd with the bounty claimed.
Absolute madness from Little Giants. They lost the Baron and they were like, okay, we gotta push. We gotta push. There's no Lissandra. We can try to like look for a fight. Gayetano TPs in and aggressively forces the entirety of Fidgets away. And they're the ones who, after losing Baron, end up getting a turret, and they get that bounty into their pockets. And while the kill score, Brillman, is 25-7, Little Giants are not going down without a fight.
Look at the gold difference too. I mean, there is 6.2 gold difference. Do you feel that difference by this point? Because I really start to feel like this difference getting neglected. Hasland is able to withstand so much damage, and I'm so sorry for doubting that pick, because he's able... Paranoia getting used onto Gayetano. He gets away in the back area, but he's going to be rooted. Yes, a lot of damage coming through, and it seems like Jhin is going to pick up that kill. Volibear in the meantime is getting really, really severely poked. Might be even picked up. The damage is coming through, and the stun is not, and Lancer is going to pick up that kill. 2-man down. Little Giants are right now, but they are still standing tall. They have that unstoppable force in their hand. They might try to look to pivot into this fight, but the Baron buff is still available for midgets, and they're going to push.
Yeah, Matt Fidgets, they definitely still have that Baron. They're definitely still capable of pushing. And once again, using their ability, using their lead to force a fight, dive straight onto Gayetano. Hasland's still standing there. Like, does have the ultimate available, but there's just nothing to play around, right? There's no big AoE Corki damage for Shot Barrage, not available. All they can do is hope to clear waves.
But they stopped it. They stopped.
Yeah, that's true.
They're still hanging in this game.
That's absolutely true. Yeah.
I don't know how they're doing this, but they are.
Yeah, I mean, you can see that the Malphite is becoming progressively tankier and tankier, right? Randuin's Omen completed with that Frostfire, as well as having the Merc Treads. Thank you, Babu, for the €5 donation. Obviously, it's a great cause, and we're really grateful to have anything that anyone can spare and give towards it. So thank you. But headed back into the focus on this game, right? You can also see that Ezreal building towards a Frozen Heart, building towards that more defensively oriented build, which also means if Nocturne tries to dive onto anyone close to Ezreal, that's actually less DPS. You're not going to have the same amount of attack speed. You're not able to finalize the kill as fast as you want to. So it's those small things. The Malphite stacking up resistance into his health, Ezreal being able to survive and decrease damage just a little bit longer, that are really allowing Giants to stay alive. And you know, we were pointing out a 7k gold advantage for Fidgets a long while ago, like somewhere around the 20-minute mark, and now it's only 8k. The gold has not been growing in a massive way, so Little Giants definitely have an opportunity.
Being used almost instantly, getting Ezreal out of the way. Now on Rampage, that's a very good package though. Takes him almost down, as Shen United is going to be used just for security issues, as it seems after this absolutely fantastic fight. 3 members of Little Giants are missing. 5 men strong, tall. Mad Fidgets are staying. Mad Fidgets, actually, yes, I am correct. No need to correct myself. But it seems like after excruciating fight, an absolutely beautiful one, Little Giants will have to suffice with the semi-finals. And Matt Fidget standing strong, being able to get into the finals of this competition from the lower bracket, slowly tearing apart that Malphite, who's going to get away on the unstoppable force. Nexus is down, Little Giants is down. Hello, finals!